Welcome to Crafty Chemist Designs. Today I have a great project for you. But first, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you can see every time I drop a new video. On with the project. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Crafty Chemist. How's everybody doing today? Okay, so today we are going to make this beautiful layout. And I've got some real life pictures to put on here today. Okay, so for today's layout, this is the layout that I'm making. I use the Gathering Together paper. I don't know where the, the label thing is. Okay. But let me show you this paper. Okay, so this paper suite that I'm featuring today is called Gathering Together. Let me show you some of it. You get 12 sheets to each of 6 designs, and here's one of them. And what's special about it is, I don't know if you can see the foil, the gold foil on this. Yeah, you can see it in the video. And then this one, I love this plaid kind of with the gold foil. And then the back is kind of like the espresso with little dots on it. I don't know if you can see the like bubbles almost, or pebbles. This one's got the leaves, and I really love that it's got these mushrooms on it, different mushrooms, and it's I guess the gold foil, and then the back is just a I don't know if that's mink or champagne. It's called champagne, but we don't have a color called champagne, so that's interesting. And then, let's see, I showed you, so this one, there's some that are similar, like these two are similar to this one. But see the different, this is like the one I used here is a white background, and this is like the more champagne-y background, but it's kind of the same flowers. And compare it to this one, which has a white background, but you can see this one doesn't have the yellow flowers. So there's a lot of, I would say, 3 different leaf designs, but they're different. So this is the champagne background with the yellow. This is a white background, no yellow. And then this is a white background with yellow and green. So, and then the back side of this one is kind of a wood grain. And then this one, this is the one that I used here for this. And the back is this Cajun Craze leaves. And then this one, this is green, but it's got gold stripes. This would be actually good also for Christmas, I think. And then the brown wood grain. Okay, let's get started. And if you want to craft along, you just need, I would just pick out whatever paper suite you want. It doesn't have to be this one, but you could do the same layout with any material. Like, I think this would be a really nice like 4th of July. I know it's not anywhere near that time, but I don't know, for some reason this reminds me of like a red, white, and blue. Dawn, you could do a beach one or a cruise one, you know, with this design. Oh, a silent auction. Nice. Okay, so let's get started. I am going to, so this background paper obviously is 12 by 12. I did gut it. Okay. So I am going to do that because I really loved this paper and I wanted to be able to use it on cards. However, I made a sample card for another layout, and I used the other piece of this paper. I forgot I needed to use it for this. So I'm going to use one of the other papers. I don't know. You guys help me pick out what the other side is going to be. I'm going to put this here. I could use this. I think I might use this one. But I could use the other side and make it just coordinating. And then I also was thinking that green one might be nice. Where did the green paper go? Here it is. Kind of like that too. That's the plan. Okay, good, good. Okay, what do you guys think? Should I go totally different? I mean, coordinated, because this has got this here, and then I could use the leftover piece of this in here instead of that. I kind of like that. Okay, so for this one, you need 12 by 12, and I am going to gut it. And to give you an idea, this Cajun Craze piece is 10 inches. So that means that there's 1 inch on each side all the way around. So when you gut the paper, you need to leave at least like 1.5 or 2 inches. Okay, no suggestions if I should do the green or if I should do one of these. Before I gut it. I'm leaning towards the green. Okay, so I am going to gut it at 1.5. And if you don't know how to gut your paper, and you don't have to do this, you can leave the whole sheet behind, but I feel like this paper is too pretty to waste all of this that's underneath, you know, that this other paper, so I want to be able to use it. So I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to put it in at 1.5, and then I'm going to put my cutter at 1.5, and I'm going to use the ruler that's on my cutter here, and start like at 1.5. Okay, Don likes the green too. Okay, and then I'm going to go down to 1.5 here. Okay, so I'm not cutting it all the way down, just like that. And then I'm going to turn it and do the same thing. Put it at 1.5. And then here at 1.5. Cut down to 1.5. Okay. Same all the way around. You're going to do it all the way around. And the thing is that you need to leave more edge showing than what this matte piece is going to be, so it covers it up. Like I said, my piece is 10 by 10, so it's going to leave an inch around the edge. And so I want to make sure I have more than an inch. Okay, and then I didn't quite make it to each edge. There we go. You might need to snip it. I'd rather snip the little bits than go over, because then you might see the cut mark if you go too far over. Okay, so let's now see, I can use this for something else. In fact, I can use it for the, you know, this piece here if I want to. Okay. So then, like I said, this Cajun Craze piece, or whatever piece you're going to do here, is 10 by 10. Hey, Brian, welcome. Glad to see you. Congratulations on being on the design team. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this 10 by 10, so I'm going to cut 2 inches off each side. Now see how that covers it? Very nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put adhesive, and you want to make sure you're kind of right up against the edge. Because if you're not, you could potentially have it showing, you know, in the opening. It depends on how much overlap you left. Like I left a 1/2 inch overlap, which is basically a 1/4 inch on each side. So, and then I'm going to put this down. Oh, shoot. That's just water for my tea. Okay. So when I put it down, it's going to show 1 inch all the way around. Now what I would do beforehand is I would go and make sure that there's no stickiness exposed here. And I did pretty good. I stayed up against the edge, so there's no stickiness. If you don't watch and you know, just put the adhesive on the back of this, you know, it could show right here. So you want to be careful. Okay, now I put this white piece. The white piece is 9.5. 9.5 by 9.5. Okay. So I'm going to use a piece of white willow and cut this at 9.5. By 9.5. And then that's going to go right on there. This paper is so pretty and it's so fall-like. But like I said, this green I think would be really beautiful on a Christmas layout. Okay, and then I'm going to center this. Okay, so now you need to find 3 pieces that are coordinating, 3 designer series paper. And I'm going to start with this big one in the middle. And it's a piece that's 9 inches by 4, 9 by 4. Okay, so I'm going to use, I don't want to use the brown, like I don't want them to be the same order. So I think what I'm going to do is use I'm going to find the pieces that are already cut. So I'm going to use this. I might use this because this is the same as out here. So I think I'm going to use this and then maybe the back of this. And then I think I might use the brown. Okay, so let's cut this one 9. I'm going to make this one the center and 9 by 4. So let's cut this at 4 inches. And then 9. So it's about like that. Okay, and then I'm going to just cut in, I don't know, basically, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch to an inch. And then I cut down the middle and then cut towards that line that I just cut. Trying to make my dovetails somewhat even, and then do the same thing here. Go from the corner and try and meet there in the middle. There. Okay, now let's try this side. Same thing. Got to cut down the middle a little bit. And then go from corner to the middle. And then from corner to the middle. Okay. And I think that will tie it all together. And I'm going to adhere this down. Make sure you get all of the sides and everything. And then I am going to pretty much center this. I'm going to use my Versamat here and center the points around 6 inches. Something like that. Okay. And now this one, these ones, let me see. I literally just had my, oh, here's my ruler. I was like, what did I do with the ruler? Okay. These pieces are 7 1/4. Well, it's about 7 1/2 by 3. So let's take the brown. This is from the part that I gutted. So let's take the brown and we'll do 3 inches. and about 7 1/4. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing by dovetailing these pieces. Okay, cut up a little bit in the center, and then go from the corner to the center, and the corner to the center. And somebody say something so I know that I'm still live, because I can't tell on my computer. Okay, go down the center, there to there. And if you can't follow along, if you got lost, I'll make this a blog post with the measurements. Okay, so I think I'm going to put that one there. And then let's do this bottom one, this. And we'll cut this 7 1/4. By 3. Still on? Okay, thanks, Julie. Okay, again, I'm just going to go down the center, go in from the corners, and then one more time, the center, corner to the center, corner to the center. I find I get kind of the best dovetails. Not perfect, but better dovetails when I do it like that. Okay, now let's stick these down. Okay. And I'm kind of alternating the location of these. I'm not making it exactly the same. Just so it looks like, you know, they're not identical, and then it makes it less obvious that I screwed up and used my whole sheet of the leaves for a card before I realized I did it. So, and then I'm going to just put this, kind of center it about, let's see, I'm going to put it there, so that's about 5/8 of an inch down. But what I want is, I wanted the points to be inside of here. That's why I made this 7 1/4. So however long you make your pieces, I wanted them to all fall within the bigger piece. Like I didn't want those to come outside, you know, down to there or something. I just thought it looked better that way. Okay. Same thing, I'm going to leave about 5/8 of an inch there and put it up like that. Okay, now here I've got this piece. This is the piece that's like the champagne with the foil, and that is 5 inches by 8 inches, 5 by 8. So I am going to use that. I know I have that piece somewhere. can use this. So I'll cut this 5 inches. By 8 inches, so I'm just going to cut off 4. Excuse me. I thought this was a great paper to use because it was somewhat of a muted background, right? So it didn't really compete with my pictures, but it still had a little bit of design to it. So I'm going to put it a little bit to the right. This one I put it a little bit to the left. And basically I put it almost all the way up to one of the dovetail points, you know, so as close as you can to the dovetail point without going over. And then centering it, you know, up and down. Okay. And so I have this, if you see, I have it a little bit above this top one. So I'm going to put it up a little bit, kind of line it up with this point, and then see where it lands. There we go. Thank you, Julie. Okay, so I'm going to put this picture here. This is a 4x6. And I'm putting it directly on the page. Directly on the paper, not really doing a separate mat. And basically I'm kind of doing it with a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch there. A little bit more space here because I'm going to put the other picture here. So I want it as much as you can to the right. Now this picture is, that's a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and that's because I wanted to fit Ellie and everything in there. So we'll do the same thing here, 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. I'm going to do the one in Monroe. So let's see. So he can be in one of these shots. So let's do 3 1/4. I might cut it a little bit more because that cuts off a little bit too much of his hands. Let's see. 3 1/4. There we go. And then, let's see, this is 4. So I'm going to cut 3/4 off. So let's cut off 3/8 here. Let's see. So I'm going to make this 3 1/4 this way. There we go. Okay, so this picture's 3 1/4. You can make it 3 by 3, but like I said, I wanted this to be, I wanted to have the name of the farm and, you know, Ellie in it, so I made it a little bit smaller, or bigger, I mean. And so the mat is 3 1/2. Okay, here's my piece of white willow, and I'm doing 3 1/2. Now, if you did a 3-inch picture, you could do it 3 1/4 inch mat. You know, you just need to match your pictures as best you can, right? Or you could have done a, you know, I thought 4 by 4 was a little bit too big, so I wanted it to be closer to the 3 by 3. Okay, so I'm putting this picture onto the mat, centering it, and then I will put this down on the paper. Okay, and I'm gonna try and I want it to not be all the way down here. So I'm probably gonna put it like this. Well, let's see. You could see some of it there, so we want it up, but I don't want to cover up too much of Henry. So I'm gonna put it maybe right like that. Okay. Okay, now all we have to do is decorate it. Let me pause to check to make sure everything's still alive. Okay. I used the Amber Autumn for this. So you can see here, I used this. I'm going to use this one, I think. Maybe I'll do the pumpkins. I think the pumpkins would look good. I think this is going the wrong direction. So let's do more of the pumpkins. These are cling stamps, and as you know, cling stamps are going away. They're selling whatever they have, you know, right now, but there won't be any more cling stamps. These ones are beautiful for cling stamps. I'm trying to find a piece of white I can stamp on. Let's see. These aren't big enough. Okay. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to use, you want to use a color or an ink that you can, you know, watercolor with, because I did watercolor these. So I'm using Intense Black from Close to My Heart, but you can use Tuxedo Black Memento ink. I don't know what I did with my Tuxedo Black, so. Okay, let's clean off our stamp. I think it was a little bit dry. Now, now I'm going to color. So let me put this back over so you can see. And I'm going to kind of go quickly, but I am using some watercolor pencils. Like this one I'm using is Stampin' Up! Pumpkin Pie for the pumpkins. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to go over the parts of the pumpkins that have these lines, like that's where the darker area should be. And I'm not really trying very hard to like stay on lines or, you know, whatever. Because I'm going to water brush these kind of out. Okay, and then I'm going to go kind of in a little bit lighter. A little bit lighter. Same thing here. Just going to, and these are watercolor pencils. So if you're using pencils that aren't watercolor, then, you know, obviously you color differently with them. But here I'm just trying to get that pigment laid onto the image. And then go back through a little bit later. And I'm not even worried about coloring the whole thing. Like I'm leaving a little bit of white. And we do have the water brushes back in stock. I need to get them. I'm just using a regular paintbrush and some water. And I'm going to then, you know, mix the watercolor in. These pencils, I mean, really the color changes and it makes such a difference. I mean, you can kind of see the orange color changes a little bit, but it makes it look, I mean, if you can see that, it really looks like, you know, the pumpkin, how it's, you know, different colors and it looks dimensional. So I'm doing the same thing here. I got the Stampin' Up watercolor pencils with, do you remember that like coloring book thing that they had with all the flowers in that? I got a pack of them with that kit. But there are 2 watercolor pencil kits that you can get. Okay, and then this is Sap Green from Colorista. I'm going to do the squash here. Same way. I'm kind of going where the dark lines are. Where it'd be darker, and then coloring in a little bit later around it. This is part of the pumpkin stem, so I kind of went on that a little bit accidentally. Okay, again, I did clean it off a little bit. Take the water brush. Just smooth it out a little bit. Okay. Let's see, let's do the corn. The corn I'm using, let's see, Sunburst Yellow. Oh, look, I rubbed my hand on that. That's okay, it should cut out. Got to be careful when it's wet that you don't rub over it like that. Okay, a little bit. Just a little bit. And the corn, I'm not really trying to like make 3-dimensional looking very much, so. And then this is Platinum Yellow. I'm doing the leaves to make them look like they're kind of crunchy and dried out. You know, when the corn husks get like that. Okay, and then actually I use the same color for the these like reeds. There's a little bit here. Just to give those a little bit of color. You can't even really see it, but there we go. Okay. And then let's do the corn, the stalks. I'm using a darker brown. This is dark timber. I'm going to color in the pumpkin stem. And then the little curlicue thing here. And then this stem. feel like I left a little piece there that you can't, there you go. Okay, and we can do just a little bit of water on those, just to smooth out the color a little bit. Okay. And then the last thing, I don't know if you can see, there's some leaves here. So I'm going to use this lighter brown. It's called Oak Tree for these. Okay, that's one leaf, and then there's a couple over here. I turned it so that my hand didn't go over the wet parts to smear it. And then, you know, to give it a little bit more color, I did go back in a little bit with a little bit of the darker, kind of just along where the veins are. And then I even use this tawny brown to give it a little bit more of a reddish hue. And I'm just going right over top of the colors, because when I use the brush, it can smooth that all together. And I'm dipping it in a little bit of water. And it looks really good like that. Okay, so I'm going to leave that to dry one second, and then I'm going to cut these leaves because, oh, let me see. Oh, I don't have. I thought I had those leaves in here. Well, let's see. Here we go. Here's the Amber Autumn dyes. Okay. Let me check that I'm still on. Let's see. Okay. So this one cuts out the pumpkins, but then this one cuts those leaves. Okay, so I cut the leaves out of espresso, early espresso. So I've got some espresso here. Let's cut out 3 of these leaves. I'm using my mini stamp cut and emboss machine. And if you've been wanting to get a new cutting machine, now's the time when we had this special going on. I'm pretty sure you can use a special on the machines. I don't think there's a restriction. Okay, there's one. I don't know if you can see, but it does have, like this part can come out, but I kept it in there to make it more solid. Let's try another one. poke this out here. There we go. Number 2 and one more. Okay, and number 3. Okay. This also, remember last week I did the Amber Autumn where I used this and that copper foil paper. It was so gorgeous. Okay, now let's try and cut the pumpkin out. I think we're gonna need to make this a little bit smaller so it fits. Okay. One thing I noticed that I didn't do that I want to do if I cut it is I did use the darker brown on these shadows. Here and here. So, I don't know if you can see there. I did do that. Okay, I hope this isn't too wet still. I would probably let it dry a little bit longer before I cut it out. Okay, let's see. I'm going to washi tape this down so that it sticks where I want it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do it right like that. Maybe a piece at the top too. Okay. Not usually a washi tape person, but this one is pretty intricate, so I wanted to make sure it got cut out nicely. Hopefully. Okay, let's see. How do we do? And there we go. Oh yeah, cut out beautifully. Okay, let me put this away. Now, you notice where I smudged my finger, I can see that it, see here how it got, I don't know, the pigment got washed away. So, I colored that in a little bit again, and then let's smooth that out. There we go. I fixed it. Okay, let's bring this back. And I'm going to be putting this here. First, let's put the leaves down, because the leaves I put down directly onto the paper. Okay? So let me find my adhesive. Here we go. Okay. So like I said, these are 2 separate pieces, but I'm keeping this inside so it's more of a solid piece. So let's do that and put some adhesive on it. It'll keep it together. And then I'm gonna kind of put this like this. Put that one there. Do the same thing with this one. I want to make sure these are inside. There we go. Phew. Okay, one more. Now this one isn't down yet, so I'm just using it to guide where I put these. Okay, and then the last one is here. And I think I'm going to put that right like that. Okay, now this I'm going to pop up with dimensionals. So put the dimensionals down. I'm using the regular size dimensionals, but we do have the mini dimensionals. Okay. And then take these off. We're almost at the end, guys. We're a little bit later because of my technical difficulties. Okay. And then I was going to put this down. And since I had my pictures already, I can put it totally down on the paper. Now, truthfully, I don't remember where those gems came from. I'm going to have to find some gems. Find the gems. I looked in my gems, and I'm thinking maybe these might have been in one of the paper pumpkins. I don't know, so I'm going to just leave it like that. But I did put these 3 gems there. Okay, so that's it, guys. Sorry for the problem, but yeah, it's coordinated, but it's not, exact. And I think it's okay because, I have the green here, I have the green here, I have the brown here, I have the brown here, the Cajun craze here, the Cajun craze here, and then this I have here. So it kind of ties it all together. But again, that was my fault for, usually what I do is I set aside the paper that I'm going to need to make the companion page or the card or whatever. I set it aside before I work on another project using that paper, but I forgot to do it this time, so I used this paper. So anyway, next week I have a really cool fun fold. If I can find, I brought the sample here for you. Okay, here it is. So, now this is a card that we're making, but we're going to make it with the peaceful, I forget what it's called, the Christmas paper, Peaceful Days, I think it is. So we're going to make this with that. But here's a sample I made using this suite here. But it's an amazing card. I'm so excited about showing you how to make this. So this is what we're making next week. Let me know if you have any questions. And here's this card again. It stands up. And it's really, really super easy, actually. So, but we're going to do a different paper suite. Okay? So I'm going to try and maybe splice these videos together, and I will post this on my YouTube, and I will have I'll have the measurements on my blog. Okay, and I'll try and pop that up tonight on the blog with the measurements in case you missed out because of my technical issues. And I couldn't get this to share to the Crafty Chemist page because my computer's not working because no Wi-Fi. So, okay, well, thanks for sticking with me for the rest of the time. I appreciate your support. And have a happy Halloween. And I will see you back here on Sunday to make that amazing card. Talk to you later. Bye. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the project. You can purchase any of the items discussed in the video at my website, thecraftychemist.stampinup.net. I have a Facebook business page, Crafty Chemist Designs, where I go live and do demos every Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time. I also have a Facebook VIP group called The Crafty Chemist Presents Stampin' Up, where you can post your work, ask questions, and have a good time. You can also find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Crafty Chemist Designs. And my blog is periodicallycrafty.blogspot.com.